Hi, I'm Michael Polozola with the LSU AgCenter, and today we're going to visit a little bit about grafting. And in this particular video, we're going to look at whip and tongue grafting of Mayhaws. That is a form of grafting that you can do that lines up, it splices them real together, and the tongue cut is what holds it in place. So hopefully it doesn't wiggle much. Now you still need to bind it securely. To get started, one, you're going to need a very good grafting knife. I prefer a German Tina brand grafting knife, but there are a lot of other good ones out there, but this is just my favorite one to work with. You're going to need a pair of pruners to help take the top off, and you're going to want to have nice good sharp ones of those to make it easy. Now in this one I'm also going to use this grafting tool. The brand of this is Scion, but they come in a lot of others, and this just helps make consistent whip cuts. You can do the same with your grafting knife and it works really well. You're going to need something to bind your graft up. This is a type of grafting tape, very porous, but it's going to hold our graft together. And then I like to wrap the whole thing up in paraffin to help keep the moisture in afterwards. So this is the main tools we're going to use, in addition to having a bunch of different sizes of sign wood to be able to decide what to make it work. Because especially for whip and tongue grafting, you're going to want to have something that matches up with the caliber of what you're doing. So the first step we're going to do with Mayhaws, they can be thorny at times and they like to put a lot of little branches. You're going to want to remove your lower branches here. So we're going to make our cut right here, and we're looking to find a piece of sign wood that works complementary size. Now this is a good time to go ahead and look at your piece of sign wood. For Mayhaws, I know the bud scar is going to be facing downward. So the bud is up, the bud scar is downward. So I know that upwards is facing this way. That's very important because if you graft upside down, it's not going to work well and more than likely will eventually die. In traditional grafting, we would take our grafting knife and do the splice cuts. But for this particular one, and it's much faster to use this tool. So this makes those cuts really easy. Just doing a short cut on it. Sometimes people like a longer cut. There's a little bit of a necrotic layer, but it's not too big. If it was, we could go ahead and cut it. And go ahead and before you make the other cuts, line it up to make certain they would line up nicely. If we were able just to bind like this, that would be called a splice graft. But that's not very sturdy and it can wiggle. And this is why it's called the whip and tongue. This would kind of be your whip, and then we're going to do the tongue kind of groove. You're going to want to be very careful, and you're going to use your traditional grafting knife to do this. Now, this other tool I used has the capacity to do it, but Mayhaw wood is extremely soft, and using the tool in that direction just kind of mars up. And you want to just slowly work with your knives there, with not too much force so you don't bring it down and cut yourself. And they should go together. So ultimately you want it to be smooth, not a lot of gaps, and if you can look close up, you see this lines up really well. And we've got, sometimes you're not going to get perfect cambium connection on both sides. That's okay. It's not quite as much connected on this side as I would like. But as long as it's connected mainly on the bottom and at least majority on one side, that should be adequate for this type of graft taking off. So the next step, and it still should take, Mayhaws graft really easily. We're going to cut us off a piece of this grafting tape, and you're going to want to be very careful. Although this is very sturdy, the cut works really well, but if your tongue is not very strong and sturdy, it can wiggle really bad. And we're just going to want to lightly but firmly get this in place. And this should protect that area and encourage good graft union formation. The cells are going to have to grow together and form a fusion. And the last step we're doing is covering this up. Just to keep it from dehydrating, you're going to want to cover it up with a little bit of paraffin. It staying slightly moist will help it heal over better than it would without it. Now you did see I stretched it. If you did it without that stretching, sometimes it can be a bit too thick. And there we have a completed whip and tongue graft.